Hello everyone, it's December 3rd, 2018. I want to continue about my evil brother Jimmy. Here are some of the highlights that I'm going to cover about him. They voted him in high school as most likely to succeed. It should have been most likely to fail. And I will explain to you how he failed at almost everything and in many ways. In school, when I entered high school, he was a senior and I was a freshman. So when I would pass him in the hall, he would snub me, act like he didn't know me, like I was a nothing. And I would say, hello. You know, I mean, it was my brother, even though he was a creep. And he snubbed me. He was afraid that someone would see him say hello to me. Can you imagine how evil that is? Another thing is, he had classmates that were attractive that I would have been very happy to date. Can you imagine him introducing me to any of these guys as, hey, my sister's a nice person, you should take her out? And I was very attractive. I didn't think I was, but I was. They made me feel ugly. But I found out when I tracked down all my classmates many years ago, about 15 years ago, I tracked down many of my classmates, including some of them that I was closest to, and some of them were, or maybe still are, drop dead gorgeous. Well, of my classmates, the two of them told me that they were dating him, and it made me sick. They dated my evil brother. And he never talked, by the way. He almost never talked. He had that impression, I am the strong, silent type. I am the John Wayne type. Well, although John Wayne talked, he was charming, he was nice. I like John Wayne. But he wanted to give the impression, I am the sheriff. I am the big cowboy. I am important. I am higher than thou. I am better than you. And he would walk in a way that conveyed that he thought he was somebody. And the kids bought his fake persona. I mean, Hitler had a fake persona. Most guys that are, many guys, not most maybe, but a lot of guys, who are in positions of power, they give you the impression of being, I'm somebody. They have a lot of confidence, you know. I don't know if he had confidence. He was fake confidence, fake. It was a front. It was a front. And the kids bought it. And all 4 years he was voted president of his class. The last year they voted another guy president, but he was the vice president. And the other guy went to a new school, he moved, so he automatically became the president of the class for all 4 years. And he was on the football team, and he was a co-captain of the football team. He was allowed to play football. I knew I shouldn't even bother asking my mother if I can stay and be a cheerleader. I was going to try out. I would have made it. I knew I had to go home and work. I knew. He didn't even have to get permission, and he stayed and played football. So that made him a big shot. And he won he won a long-distance track race. He had some talents. He wasn't all bad. He had some talents. His IQ, though, was almost 30 points lower than mine was. We found out all the IQs, and I had the highest IQ of us kids. Now, I have one who might be higher than me, younger than me. She might have a higher IQ than me. I suspect that. So I'm above what's called genius, so she's way above. But she never had an IQ test that I know of. And I'm just going by what my opinion. So he was accident prone. Now, people who are accident prone, there's a reason why they're accident prone. Maybe someday I'll think about it and meditate on it and figure out why are certain people accident prone. But I remember we used to climb trees all the time. I have never, ever fallen out of a tree. Used to climb up on the barn on the second floor. It wasn't real high up. It was probably 10 feet up. And I used to jump just for fun, onto the bare ground. It wasn't a pavement. It was a bare ground, so it was somewhat cushioned, you know, the dirt, the ground. It wasn't soft dirt. It was ground, hard dirt. So I would jump from the hayloft just for fun and land properly, you know, without hurting myself. So one day we're in the woods and he climbs up this pine tree, way up, way up. And then after he's way up there, and you know, pine trees have bark and twigs that are very rough bark, like certain ones, you know, but this was one of them that has very rough bark, and they also have like stubby old branches that stick out a little bit, you know. So he climbs to the tippy top. Well, I take that back. It was probably 75 feet tall. He goes way up. And all of a sudden, instead of climbing down, he seems to have fainted and slides down. Holding the tree, slides down. And therefore, whatever part of his body was not properly, you know, completely covered, he would have gotten scratched up. And he falls on the ground and he doesn't say anything. He's just lying there. So I couldn't wake him up like he was passed out or something. So I had to run to the house and get Mother and everybody, and they came and they got him up and they took him to the house. Then another time he's mowing the lawn. You know how only an idiot would mess with the motor when it's running? And he messed with it, and he lost his finger, one of his fingers, the middle one. And I remember, because of the fact that he was the president of his class, he had to give, he was the not the valedictorian, but the salutatorian, the second in a row. So he had to give a speech, Mr. Big Shot. So he gave a speech. And he had, his hand was in a cast, his finger was in a cast because of that. I don't know if he lost the entire finger or half of it, I don't remember. Because, you know, we parted ways after a while. I never looked at him very much after that. Then he was working with my uncle. My uncle was a master builder. He built a beautiful, beautiful enclosed driveway at their house in North Salem, New York. And stone, he built it from stone, and you have to break the stones when you deal with them. So my brother was helping him, and he loses an eye. My uncle had been working for years with the stones and everything, and nothing ever happened. You're supposed to wear goggles. Neither one of them wore goggles, but my uncle never got a problem of any type. But my brother gets a tiny splint into his eye, and the eye deteriorates. And when your eye deteriorates, that side of your face where the eye is deteriorated also somehow falls apart and makes you look aged. And he also became an alcoholic, and he went to AA and got cured. but he was an alcoholic for a few years. I remember him when he was a teenager. He and his friends used to come over, and they used to drink like fish. Like one night, I remember all night, they drank like fish. They were allowed. I wasn't allowed to have my friends over, but he was allowed. They were drinking like fish. Okay, talking about my evil brother, Jimmy, and I will continue next on him.